Abracapo, abracadabra, on chapeau apparaître. Oh, that's not it. Abracadar, abracadabra, on gar apparaître. Almost there. Abracadive, abracadabra, les livres apparaître. Oh yeah, here we go. So today I want to talk about the first two Harry Potter books, the Philosopher's Stone and the Chamber of Secrets, as well as their corresponding movies. So let's jump right into that. Almost 2 decades ago, after the first handful of Harry Potter's books had been written, I decided I would check out the series. So I started into it, and up until recently I wasn't sure if I had gotten through the first book only or the first 2 books, but at that time I decided that it really wasn't for me, and I had stopped the series at that point. So a couple of months ago, my older boy, who's 9 years old, expressed some interest in the series, so we dove into this first book and started reading through it together. We finished the first book, then watched the corresponding film, and then we dove straight into the second book and just finished this one up last weekend and followed it up with its movie as well. So I thought that as we made our way through this series, I would, every couple of books, maybe do a short video about my thoughts on the books and the films as we go through them. Now, for me personally, I'm finding myself pretty much as unenthusiastic about the books the second time around as I was the first time around. It turns out I had read the first 2 books because I was remembering some stuff from the second book as we were going through it. I think part of the issue for me is the fact that I'm generally not into books that feature kids as the main characters. And regarding the Harry Potter series in particular, my issue tends to be that I went through kind of a lot of abuse as a child. I was abused throughout my childhood by my father and bullied by my classmates, and childhood in general wasn't a super great experience when you combine that with the Crohn's disease and the health issues that I faced. So I really just don't have much of a stomach for seeing kids experiencing hardship and bullying and that sort of thing. It brings back bad memories, and I have this protective instinct towards children that I really just can't handle that sort of trauma, I guess. So that's definitely a big stumbling block for my personal enjoyment. Now, from a writing perspective, I had some suspicions way back when I first read through the books, and since I recently read Stephen King's book about how to write called On Writing, you can check out that video that I made about this book if you want to. This basically confirmed the suspicions that I had, which is that Joanne Rowling is objectively a bad writer, at least with the first couple of books in the series. Now, it's very well possible that she progressed as a writer as the series progressed, but it's safe to say that the writing of these books isn't particularly good, which makes the fact that Joanne Rowling was the world's first billionaire author quite astonishing. And I would say that it just goes to show the power of the actual storytelling. But even with that, for the first book especially, I was like, as we progressed through the book and the characters were given very small clues about certain things, and every time they seemed to immediately pick up on what it meant and progress to the next thing, and then they uncovered more clues and immediately were able to figure out what that meant. And the whole time I was like, really? And then when we got to the second book, the fact that Harry didn't trust, what's his name? What is his name? What is that guy's name, man? The fact that Harry didn't trust Lockhart to mend his broken arm, yet he was the teacher that they forced into the Chamber of Secrets with them, made absolutely no sense whatsoever. And it was clear that it was necessary to have him there to cause the problems that separated Harry from the group as a plot point. But there were just these things that were almost like a deus ex machina that would just sort everything out so nice and smoothly for them. I was finding it a little bit hard to believe, even in a magical fantasy setting. Maybe in that instance I'm being a little too hard on a children/young adult book, but I think you have to move past the writing, past the actual story, and just look at the setting and the world that was created by Joanne Rowling to get the real quote-unquote magic of the series and the books. She really does a wonderful job in creating this wonderful world with all these really neat characters and quirks and interesting things that are happening within it. And I think that's where the real success of the books come from. And that's also the part that really comes through in the films for me too. I'm not a movie watcher. It's actually quite likely that all the movies I watch this year will be the ones that I watch with my kids. And so I don't have a wide range of film experience. But from a movie perspective, I thought they did a great job of summarizing the events and the plot in the first two movies. The child actors were child actors, you know. I mean, Ron Weasley had pretty much the same slightly surprised, slightly puzzled expression on his face for pretty much the entire first two movies. Although I was really quite impressed with Emma Watson as Hermione. I felt that she did a really great job in the movies. And all of the actors who played the Hogwarts staff I thought did a really great job. It was a little strange how the Dursleys were presented so cartoonishly in comparison to everybody else who was taken a little more seriously. Though I think if you're presenting that sort of abuse in film, that you do have to kind of add that kind of over-the-top element to it to make it not look as horrible as it actually is to watch, I think. But just as with the books, it's the visuals of everything, bringing the wonderful, huge castle school to life, and all the various aspects from flying cars to giant trolls and snakes and that sort of thing. So from that kind of bringing the world to a visual setting, I thought they did really well with in the movies. And so from that point of view, they were pretty fun to watch. But that's my perspective only, and I can't separate myself from the experience because I am working through this with my older boy, like I said, and he's just loving it. Every single night, I think both of us can't wait to get into my bed and read the next chapter, and it's been such a fun experience for the two of us to work through together. As we were going through the second book, he really wanted to watch that second movie on the weekend, so we blasted through the last 5 chapters of the Chamber of Secrets in a couple of days so that we could get that movie watched. And there's just been so much enjoyment with having the two of us sharing this world together and being able to experience that. So that is just such a precious, valuable gift that the books are continuing to give us. And so despite what I might think about the story and the writing and everything else, the fact that it's giving us this fun time together is such a great thing for me. And I will say that at the end of the Chamber of Secrets, the lesson that was imparted, I just couldn't be happier with. I'm going to read just a couple of paragraphs here where Harry is talking to Dumbledore about the Sorting Hat and the fact that he was placed in Gryffindor House rather than Slytherin. "So I should be in Slytherin," Harry said, looking desperately into Dumbledore's face. "The Sorting Hat could see Slytherin's power in me, and it put you in Gryffindor," said Dumbledore calmly. "Listen to me, Harry. You happen to have many qualities Salazar Slytherin prized in his hand-picked students. His own very rare gift, Parseltongue, resourcefulness, determination, a certain disregard for rules," he added, his mustache quivering again. "Yet the Sorting Hat placed you in Gryffindor. You know why that was. Think." "It only put me in Gryffindor," said Harry in a defeated voice, "because I asked not to go in Slytherin." "Exactly," said Dumbledore, beaming once more, "which makes you very different from Tom Riddle. It is our choices, Harry, that show what we truly are, far more than our abilities." That is such a great lesson. One of the most important lessons I think that I can teach my kids, that it is our choices that make us who we are as people. So I'm very grateful for what the books have given to myself and my son up to this point, and it's definitely been fun to watch the movies together. And we're going to definitely continue through the series, and as I said, every couple of books I'll come back and maybe share some more thoughts again. And I know there are loads of Harry Potter fans out there, and I'm probably not making them very happy based on what I'm saying about the books. So I would love to hear, if you're a Harry Potter fan, what it is about the books that you love so much. Like I said, for me it's about the setting and the magical world in which all the events are taking place. What is it for you that draws you to Harry Potter and brings you such enjoyment? I'd love to hear about it. The preceding video has been brought to you free of charge by me, Josh. The only thing I ask in return is that you could do one of the following. Give me a thumb up, push the subscribe button, or share the link to this video with somebody who you think would enjoy it. Cheers. Oh, for God's sake. Come on, really? So we started into the first book, and I started reading him the Harry Potter's books. It's repetitive. A couple of the suspicions I sort of had. I had some suspicions from way. So I moved. So for the these kind of things that would pop up that would just sort out everything so smoothly for them all. I'm not sure exactly what's happening here.